today after Rosh Hashanah, I hope that over the last 2 days, praying in peace, hearing the sound of the Shabbat, accompanied with all the lessons you had from your teachers on Rosh Hashanah and Kippur, I hope that did something. I hope that when you learned these things and the experience you had in community with Shabbat and the Hazanut and the Beit Torah, I hope that transformed you or given you an opportunity to think about the gift of the Yamim Noraim to help you even more plug in Aseret, Yeme, Teshuba, and eventually Yom Kippur. That's next Tuesday night on Wednesday. We invited someone who's very, very special to the yeshiva, Rabbi Tobias. Rabbi Tobias is not only a community rabbi in Beit Torah, he's also the head of school of Magen David Yeshiva High School, and he's also the father of 6th grade Reuven Tobias. So he is one. If you look at my, I'm going to say something maybe you heard me say before. If you look at my Kolil, right, the Sephardic Rabbinical College underneath the Tamaruf and Rabbi Hillel Sutton, if you look at all the rabbis that graduated and got semichah from that program, I think that Rabbi Tobias is probably one of the best speakers, the most inspirational speakers that I know of. Some of you have heard him before because you pray in Beit Torah, but I wanted to pick the best of the best to come speak to you on Aseret, Yeme, Teshuba. So without further ado, I want to invite Rabbi Tobias to come say some words of Beit Torah. I want to make sure that everybody here is respectful and attentive when he speaks.
Thank you, Rabbi. It's a pleasure to be here. Hi, guys. How are you doing? I have the pleasure to be not only colleagues, but friends with your Rabbi Shiva, Rabbi Heber, who also is inspiration to me and to many others. So you're lucky to have him as your leader, who's giving you guidance and navigation. So as the Rabbi said, we just got through Rosh Hashanah, and we're in the middle of the Aseret Yeme Teshuba, and in a week, we're going to be standing in front of Borei Olam on Yom Kippur. This time period between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur is known as what? Who can tell me?
Aseret Yeme
Teshuba. Very good. Translated as what?
The 10 days between Rosh Hashanah.
The 10 days between Rosh Hashanah and Kippur. The 10 days of doing Teshuba. Right? Now is the time when we are trying to fix all the things we were not doing the right way. We're trying to fix our mistakes, trying to right the wrongs. Right? Now is the time. On that note, Harambam has a very interesting halacha, but I think the halacha calls into question a very important idea. So I'm going to read you the halacha. I did make sheets, but we'll do it this way. The Rambam writes as follows in the 3rd perek of Hilchot Teshuba. He says that at this time of the year, Mibnei Inyan Zeh Nahagu Kol Bet Yisrael Leharbot B'tzedakah U'B'ma'asim Tovim V'La'asot B'mitzvot B'Rosh Hashanah V'Yom HaKippurim Yeter B'Kol Hashanah. Who can tell me what that means? Jacob, what does that mean?
I don't know.
You have trouble if I know your name. The Rambam says that because this is the time period between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, it's customary to give a lot of extra tzedakah and to be on your extra best behavior between now and Yom Kippur. In fact, Maran, who knows who Maran is? Anybody know who Maran is?
The rabbi.
He is a rabbi, that's a good guess. Maran is the author of a book called the Shulchan Aruch. Right? Everybody knows what the Shulchan Aruch is?
Yeah.
Shulchan Aruch is a book of halacha that we have that gives us the bottom line halacha. Good. So Maran, who's the author of the book, writes that at this time of the year, you should be extra on your best behavior, that if during the year you're not careful to eat the super strict kashrut meat, you should eat the super strict kashrut meat. And if you don't usually make sure that you have bread that is baked by a Jew, you should make sure you have bread that's baked by a Jew. This time of year, everybody's on high alert. Why? Because it's the time period between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. We want to be on our best behavior. So I have a question. We're going to do all of these things. We're going to be high alert. Ben, you with me? Yeah, you with me? We're going to be on high alert. But you and I both know that after the holiday is over, it's more than likely we're going to just go back to doing the same old stuff that we were doing before the holiday. So it sounds to me a little bit like we're being hypocrites. Who knows what the word hypocrite is? Good. That's a good example. So a hypocrite is when you tell somebody, let's say, not to do something, and then you go and you do that very thing, right? You contradict yourself, right? You go against yourself. You say one thing, and then you actually do what you said not to do. Or you say not to do something, and then you do it. Sounds like we're being hypocrites. I'm going to do tzedakah, and I'm going to eat extra kosher meat, and I'm going to be extra strict on my bread, and I'm going to get up every morning and go to shul, and then Yom Kippur is going to be over, and I'm going to sleep through shul, and I'm going to go back to my regular kashrut laws. So who are we fooling, guys? Who are we fooling? Okay, but the halacha says that this is what you're supposed to do, so why would the Rambam tell me to be a hypocrite during this time of the year? Go ahead.
That's why.
What's your name?
Ralph.
Ralph what?
Sid.
Ralph Sid. Go ahead.
Because that's when
Your father's Jimmy?
Yeah.
Go
Because
ahead.
that's when Hashem is like looking at us and he's like really judging us like better than the rest of the year.
So that's like the police, right? When I'm driving and Waze says police up ahead, I slow down.
Yeah.
Then I pass the police and then I go hit 90 again.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, so I'm playing by the rules when I have to, but otherwise I'm not really playing by the general rules of safety. General rules of safety say don't drive 90 miles an hour at any point in time. So you're right. God is watching. So everybody's behaving, right? It's like when the principal walks into the room, everybody stops, right? Then the principal leaves and everybody starts talking again. Which is great that you have respect for the principal, but are you really changing anything when you do that? So how does this help us make a real change if we're just fooling ourselves? Your mashal is correct, but I want to try and unpack this a little bit and get to the bottom line of how could the Rambam tell me, basically, be a hypocrite for 10 days? You hear my question?
Yeah.
Good? Who else could offer up some answers? Yes, what's your name?
Marvin.
Marvin what? Marvin Levy. Go ahead.
So, if you do the things that you do on the 10 days of Yom Kippur on every other day, it's not really being a hypocrite. It's doing the right thing. And also, if you don't, it's also the opposite. If you don't do the right thing, if you don't do the right thing on Yom Kippur, and like you won't do the right thing in the rest of the year. So it's like
Okay.
it's like also like not going to be a hypocrite if you're going to do it in 10 days. You should also try to do it the rest of the year.
Okay, so we're getting somewhere. I like where you're going with that. I need a little bit more. Jacob?
If you start doing it for 10 days and you see maybe you could like it a little more or something, so start doing it forever instead of just doing it for 10 days.
Okay. I'll take one more. Deidre Matt, what do you got?
Because God's trying to get us to become like more religious and get more used to doing certain stuff. So now if we're eating for a cook by a Jew for 10 days, maybe we're not going to stop because we got used to it in these 10 days and we're going to become better.
Okay, so I'm going to combine what the three of you said and tell you what I think that Rambam is saying, and then prove it with some Torah reading that we do on Rosh Hashanah and Kippur. I don't think that Rambam is saying to be a hypocrite. I think that Rambam is being actually very honest in telling you about how people work. How do people work? He's saying that people work based on how things begin. If I go the extra mile this time of year, because God is watching, because the cop is there, because the principal's there, whatever it may be, but I'm going to go the extra mile and I'm going to do what I'm supposed to be doing this time of year. It's not because I'm doing it knowing that after Kippur is over, I'm just going to go back to being my old self. It's because maybe if I start the year with real change, then I can build on that and move forward. Because everything goes by how you begin. If you begin the year and you're extra conscious of the things you're supposed to be doing, that hopefully will be a catalyst. Who knows what the word catalyst means?
It like destroy something, like stop something.
Also, catalyst actually is the thing that starts, right? Catalyst is what makes something start, right? So maybe this will be the catalyst to have a year where I'm actually going to be doing the right things. Interestingly enough, the first day of Rosh Hashanah, right, we open the Yamim Noraim and we close the Yamim Noraim with this very concept. What is the Torah reading first day Rosh Hashanah? That guy. Yishmael. What about Yishmael, Jacob?
How he got kicked out and how he's like doing bad stuff.
Okay, so Yishmael gets kicked out because Sarah is worried that he's going to have a bad influence on Yitzhak.
And then Hashem saves him.
Okay, but there's 3 words in that Torah reading that are very important that sit at in the very middle of the reading. What are those 3 words? And how does it connect to what I'm saying here? Elliot, what are the 3 words? Claude. Va'asher Husham. Thank you very much. Va'asher Husham. Elliot, what does Va'asher Husham mean? What does that mean, where he is? Bahamas, what does that mean? Yeah, this.
Where he is now in the future.
Which tells me what? Borei Olam is judging Yishmael on what's happening at this moment in time. Meaning, forget about what's going to be in 10 days from now. Forget about what's going to be tomorrow. What's happening right now? Are you making a commitment to change? Right now, if I looked at Yishmael's life, if I took a snapshot of where he is, he's on the path to doing the right thing. And maybe if he sows the seeds for doing the right thing now, that will actually pan out and he may actually end up in that direction. And that's really the key to understanding this period in time. People always discount themselves and they say, why try now if I know that when it's over, I'm just going to go back to being my old self? And that's the wrong philosophy to have. The point is, now is the time to make the change. And if I start it now, perhaps it can take hold and I can move forward with it in the future. So we start the Yamim Noraim with the Torah reading, Va'asher Husham Yishmael, talking about what are you doing right now that is possibility to have you have real change in your life. What's the last thing we read on the Yamim Noraim from the Torah? Claude? No. The last thing we read on the Yamim Noraim from the Torah. That's all on Rosh Hashanah. The last thing we read on the Yamim Noraim from the Torah. Yom Kippur. The last thing we read on Yom Kippur Torah reading. Is that a hand?
No.
Yeah, sit. That we do read that, but not the last thing we read. What's the last thing we read on the Yamim Noraim? Benin. Sefer Yonah. Correct. What is Sefer Yonah about, Benin? Well, that's what happens when you take answers from somebody, when you get pressed on it, and you can't explain it.
Oh, I know.
Right?
Wait, I know.
Yeah. Benin, what's Sefer Yonah about?
About Yonah.
About Yonah. Chazak Baruch, I think. Yeah. What else can you tell me? Who is that? What's your name? Rabbi Ashkenazi. Jack's son?
Yeah.
Go ahead. What's
Sefer Yonah is about a prophet who God tells him to help the city of Nineveh.
Of?
Nineveh?
Not Neville.
Nineveh?
Of Nineveh.
But instead he runs away from God and running because he feels that he won't actually make change because after 40 days they're just going to get better. When he feels that they don't deserve to get better because they are bad.
Okay, so that's the synopsis of the story. Very good. You mentioned something in there that's very important. God tells Yonah to go save Nineveh, to give them a second chance. Right? It's very interesting. Why does God give Nineveh a second chance? Right? If they're a city that is at least based on other midrashim and other literature. They are full of avodah zarah, and they're doing all the wrong things. Why does God give them a second
They
chance?
want to make Teshuba.
Who said they want to make Teshuba? Now, Yonah is suspicious that they're going to want to do Teshuba. And that's why he doesn't want to save them, because that's going to make the Jews look bad, because the Jews don't want to do Teshuba, and the Goyim do.
It's like Aseret
Right?
and Teshuba.
But why does he want to give them a second chance? I'm going to follow that up with a different question. Who can tell me what are the origins of Nineveh? Where is Nineveh from? How did they begin?
No idea.
No. How did Nineveh begin?
Second grade.
How did Nineveh begin?
Come on, boys, she pedicure.
How did Nineveh begin? Alright, I'll read it to you. So if you open up to Bereshit Perek Yud, as the rabbi said, we are introduced to Nimrod. I'm going to throw the rabbi out in a second because he's giving away too many
So
answers.
Nineveh is the same
It
as
says
Aseret and
about
Teshuba.
Perek Yud. It says about Nimrod. הוא היה גיבור ציד לפני אדוני, על כן יאמר כנמרוד גיבור ציד לפני אדוני. Right? Nimrod was this warrior, and he was this very aggressive, strong figure, and people were noticing it. ותהי ראשית ממלכתו בבל, וערך ואכד וכלנה בארץ שנער. And he starts to build an empire in all of these places, Bavel and Erech and Akkad. Then it says, Pasuk Yud Aleph, Min haaretz hahi yatsa Ashur, Vayiven et Nineveh, ve'et Rehovot Ir, ve'et Kalach. A man whose name is Ashur left, and he builds a city called Nineveh, and Rehovot Ir, and Kalach. Rashi on the Pasuk says about this man Ashur, כיוון שראה אשור את בניו שומעים לנמרוד ומורדים במקום לבנות המגדל יצא מתוכם. Why did this man Ashur leave and build Nimrod and Rehovot Ir and Kalach? Because he saw that his children were being influenced by Nimrod. Nimrod had a very bad influence. He was moving the people in a direction away from God. So Ashur stood up as a father and said, I will not let my children be influenced by this evil. And he moves away, and the first city he builds is Nineveh. What does that tell me? And how does it connect to what we've been saying? Yeah,
Maybe because they were already influenced badly, so now it's they were doing good, and then they were influenced poorly. That wasn't in their choice, and now maybe if they weren't influenced, they would always be doing the right thing instead of not doing the right thing. And so maybe that's why Hashem told Yonah finally that they should get a second chance after what they were influenced.
Okay, you said a lot of good stuff in there. I'm going to try and peel away some of the layers. Let's get some other hands, some guys I haven't heard before. Who can help me out? How does this connect to what we're saying? Somebody else. Eddie. No? Yeah, Sid, go ahead.
Ashur made a decision to make Teshuba and move away from the bad, and that's why Hashem is giving them another chance, and he's telling them maybe they can do Teshuba.
Why? But why? Why?
Because
everything you're saying is correct, but why? How does this connect to what we're doing before? What is Nineveh built on?
they were built from Ashur, and he was good, and he chose to do Teshuba.
So what does that tell me about everything we've been saying up until this point? Again, we started by saying that the Rambam, when he says to be extra careful about mitzvot, is not saying to be a hypocrite. He's saying what? Saying now's the time to make a change. If you want the rest of the year to look good, you have to start now. The beginning of the year has to be strong. Right? And maybe if you do these things, you change the way you behave, then you'll actually take that on and you'll change. Then we talked about the fact that the Yamim Noraim, the opening reading, is about Yishmael Ba'asher Usham. At that moment in time, we were looking at the fact that at this moment he's good. He's got a good start here. I don't know what's going to be, but he's got a good start. The last thing we read is about Nineveh. God gives them an extra shot. Why? It's true, they left, and they're doing the right thing, but what's the point I'm trying to get to? Yeah?
That Yeme is the same as I said Yeme Teshuba. Just like the Bnei said a lot of times in the Nevi'im. Now, you know, you want Teshuba, you want God's help, you want to be forgiven, and then, okay, God, let's say they're forgiven, we're forgiven, we're sitting in the Teshuba, Yeme is forgiven, and then 2 days later, okay, whatever, everything's fine, we get to go on the bed track again. We get to eat meat that's not fully kosher. They get to do whatever they were doing before they got Teshuba, and it's a cycle. So you're not in want to help because you know they're just going to get back doing bad again. It's not full Teshuba.
Why does he give them an extra chance? Everything he's saying is correct. Why does he give them? What do they have in their merit that's giving them an extra chance?
Maybe in the beginning when Ashur tried to separate, he was having a good start, making a good start.
Very good. They have a strong foundation. How did the city start? The city started because one man stood up and said, I'm not going to let my children be influenced poorly. And he goes and he starts the city on a strong foundation that wants to do good. They veered off the path in the years that followed, and they ended up not in the right direction. But God gives them another chance because he says, when you start strong, it's in you. It's there. So the message of Rosh Hashanah as it begins, the Aseret Yeme Teshuba, and Yonah as it ends is Hakol Holech Achar HaHatchala. Believe it or not. Everything goes after the beginning. When you start strong, you give yourself an opportunity to move in the right direction. This is the beginning of the year. And for all of the things that you may be doing that you're not happy with, now is the opportunity to make a change. But how do you make a change? You have to actually act. Right? Science tells us that we become what we do. What does that mean, we become what we do? Right? Don't you feel different when you're wearing a suit and tie than when you're wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt? Why? You become what you do. Right? When you dress nicely, you feel better about yourself and you act in a proper fashion. Right? When you speak positively and nicely to people and you make a habit of it, you feel more positive. When you give charity consistently, you become more generous. So the words of the Rambam are very astute, very interesting. When he says, during this time of the year, you're supposed to be involved in all kinds of things where you're going the extra mile, it's not because he's being a hypocrite. It's because he's saying, if you really want to change, if you want to have a strong foundation, if you want to be judged ba'asher hu sham, the way you look now, then you have to take upon yourself the things that go the extra mile. And who knows, Gabe? Maybe, when Yom Kippur is over, you'll actually have done enough of those things that the change is real and lasting. The goal is not to be a hypocrite. The goal is not to say, oh, I did it, and Rosh Hashanah Kippur over, so I go back to my old self. The goal is to say, 10 days I gave tzedakah, 10 days I was positive, 10 days I went the extra mile with kashrut and Shabbat and limud Torah and being respectful to my parents and my teachers. And maybe if I do it enough, I'll have a very strong foundation. And then when I slip up and I do the wrong thing and I stand before Borei Olam and I ask for forgiveness, what does God say? God says, oh, you started strong. I know it's in you. I know you have it. Just like Nineveh. I know it's there. I know you're capable. So I'm going to give you another shot. Let's try this again. Let's go back to the beginning. Let's rewind. Go back to how we started and let's give it another shot. And I think it's a very powerful message, especially for boys who are starting off a school year as well. Right? There's things you want to change. Right? Maybe you aren't studying as much as you should study. Now's the time to get into those habits. Maybe you talk a little bit too much during class and you want to stop. Now's the time to get out of that habit.
Doesn't happen, Rabbi.
Doesn't not here, I know. Maybe you are not as respectful as you want to be to your parents. I know that doesn't exist here either, but now's the time to make that change. And if we do it on a consistent basis, because we're on high alert now, right? Maybe if I drive 50 miles an hour enough times in front of the cop, I'll get myself used to driving 50 miles an hour even when the cop's not around. Right? So I think that's an important message that the Rambam has for us during this time of the year. I'm going to ask if there's any questions, and if not, I'll add one last piece. Claude, go ahead.
While you were talking about like Hashem probably doing it like he's a father and he wants to forgive you, he wants you to start hush, because we show him can.
I think that's an excellent point, right?
What did he say? We couldn't hear him over here.
Go ahead, Claude, say it again.
Say it one more time, Claude.
Okay, so Hashem wants to give you forgiveness and he wants to give you Teshuba, because like Hashem's like your dad, like he wants you to do good. He wants you to start over. You just have to show him that you can.
Right, it's a partnership, Claude, right? Borei Olam he's reaching out his hand. He wants you to meet him, but you gotta do what you gotta do, right? So I can only give you I want to give you an A, right? As a teacher, I want you to get an A, but I can't give you an A if the paper's blank, right? You gotta give me something. I think that's a very good point that you're making, that there's a partnership that's happening between us and Borei Olam, and now's the time to make it work. I think that's a great point. Fantastic, very good. Anybody else have any comments or suggestions before we close out? I have 3 minutes? 4 minutes. Okay. So on that note, one last piece, and it goes back to what who said before. I think it was Ezra, sorry. Ezra said before, and that was, you talked about this idea of not having a choice, right? The Rambam, now I'm going to go a little more sophisticated now. The Rambam, later on in Hilchot Teshuba, writes, and I'm going to read to you the words, okay? Reshut lechol adam netuna. Everybody has what we call free will. What does that mean, free will?
The choice.
You have free choice to do what you want to do. You want to be a tzaddik, your choice. If you want to be evil, the choice is yours also. We believe in this concept called free will. There's no such thing as saying that God made me do it, right? Or that this person, we all have the ability to make our own choices. Here's where it gets a little bit sophisticated. Why do you think the Rambam put the idea of free will in the laws of Teshuba? Why is it in its own section? Right, I have a section of Bechira Chofshit, free will. Why do you think that Rambam put the laws of free will, or the concept of free choice, in the laws of Teshuba? Go ahead. Yeah.
Maybe to show that you have a choice from Teshuba, no one forces you to do it.
Okay, that's certainly true, right? Teshuba is a choice, right? You could ask for forgiveness and you could do Teshuba or not. That's true. But I think it goes a little bit deeper than that, and it goes back to Ezra's point before. You okay? What are we doing when we say when we're doing Teshuba? What are we doing when we do Teshuba? Give me 3 words. If I had to sum up Teshuba in 3 words, give me 3 words. I am sorry. You're asking for forgiveness, right? That you did something wrong, you recognize it, and now you want to change, right? But tell me, Ezra, if I was forced to do something, do I have to say that I'm sorry that I did it?
No.
No, because I didn't choose to do it. You made me do it, right? Right? If somebody takes my hand and then whacks somebody else with it, I don't have to apologize. I didn't do it. Somebody else did it. So the Rambam puts the laws of free will in the laws of Teshuba, Benin, because he wants you to understand that the only reason why Teshuba works is because you made the choice to do what you wanted to do. If you didn't have a choice, then there's no reason for Teshuba. But your point is a very important one, right? And very often, right, people want to blame. Right, Rabbi Twersky, I don't know if you guys are a little more sophisticated, but Rabbi Twersky has a very interesting point, right? There's an idea that as people, we need 3 things to live. What are the 3 things we need to live? Shelter, clothing, and food and water. Rabbi Twersky has a very interesting idea. He says that's not true. He said there are 4 things that everybody needs to live. They are food and water, clothing, shelter, and somebody else to blame. Everybody tries to blame somebody else. And that's not Teshuba. That's not ownership. We make mistakes. We messed up. It's okay. Learn how to say I'm sorry. Own it. And then move on. But pointing a finger at somebody else is never an option. So as we navigate the next 10 days, guys, and I encourage and I highly suggest that all of you think about the things that you want to change and start making those changes now. Think about the fact that that's in your control. If you really want to change, you really want to get better grades, it's not the teacher's fault that you're not getting good grades, it's not your parents' fault, it's not the FanDuel's fault, it's your fault, meaning it's in your control, and you can change it, right? If you don't have a good relationship with your siblings, figure out how to fix it, that's in your control. But now is the time, guys, now is the time to figure out what are the changes you want to make, how do you want to make them, and own the fact that it all lies on your shoulders. And you have the power to be better, to do more, and to turn over a new leaf. And with that, I want to wish everybody a Yom Kippur that is meaningful.
Sit down. Look, I realize. Sit down. I want to thank Rabbi Tobias for coming to. He's a very, very, very good rabbi. I want to thank you for giving us 45 minutes of his time and giving you an hour to find talking, right? I'm sorry about that. Look, I realize that when we have this talk with Rabbi Tobias on Teshuba, we're raising the bar. We're raising the bar on what you would normally expect from yourself when it comes to Aseret. That's good. I want you guys to be the best boys out there when it comes to thinking about what Hashem wants from you, to become what we call an Adam Musari, a typical person based on Torah. The more you listen to your rabbis and to your teachers and you go to Knis and you listen to the Devat Torah, step by step. I think Rabbi Tobias is right. Start strong now. I said it, pick one thing to work on this week. One thing that you can say to yourself, I really, really think this is something I want to take upon myself. I want to thank Rabbi Tobias. One last thing. Many of you are fasting today. It's very hard to be 13, 12, and 13 years old to fast, but it's easier if you have a group of people that support you, each other. So that means if it gets to be like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and you're feeling weak, and you know your friend's feeling weak, give them a call. Put something on the chat saying, we can do it, we can do it, we can do it. Because what we're fasting for now is remembering how bad it was 2,000 years ago with the Gidal Yam Nachikam. Support each other. I guarantee you, support each other, it'll be easier for you to fulfill this fast until the end of the fast. So,